Thank you. Good morning. I would like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ian Mann, and I'm joined on the panel today with Ms. Diane Knight and Mr. Richard Whitbread. The administrative personnel is Mrs. Crystal Harlan, and our first assessor today will be Mr. Nathan Kupfer. We'll be joined later by Mr. Jeremy Pohl. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you may leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decision on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all of the applications have been heard. The Board will then deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decisions by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 through 13 on our docket today. Mrs. Harlan, would you please affirm the assessors and the first applicant's testimony?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, would you please state your full name?
Nathan Kupfer.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, would you please state your full name?
Trevor Smith.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And just before we turn to the first matter, I will comment on the number of items on the docket today, the 13 of them. This is a very long docket, and I would ask that all participants keep their comments relevant and to the point so we can get through it in a reasonable amount of time. Thank you very much. And on that note, if we can move, yes, Mr. Smith.
I do have one preliminary matter, Mr. Chair. There is post-reference material in the submission by the City of Winnipeg, beginning on page 10.
Okay, we will deal with that when we get to the testimony of Mr. Kupfer, and I had not flagged that on my review, but thank you for pointing that out. Mr. Kupfer will no doubt address that, and if he doesn't, we will address it when he gives his testimony. So the first item then on the docket is number 3680 Portage Avenue street address. Mr. Kupfer, if you could introduce the property and provide your testimony, please.
Certainly. This is file number 25-416. The roll number is 0756900240, and the street address is 3680 Portage Avenue. The owner is a Manitoba Limited Company. This is a commercial vehicle service related property with a year built of 1988, and we have effective year 2010 being applied. The land area is just over 40,000 square feet, and the leasable area on file is 7,200 square feet. And we have a 2026 assessed value of $1,831,000 that I'm going to recommend be confirmed today. beginning on page 2 of my brief, you can see we've no recent or relevant sales here. I've included a number of photos, including an overhead outlining the property itself, and then giving you more of a close-up of the building. As you can see, this is Crown Auto Body and Glass, so vehicle service repair. Like I said, located on Portage, pretty far west down close to Unicity. Being on page 5, you can see my rent comparables. So these are all vehicle service garages located around the city of Winnipeg. In terms of closest comparables, I would draw you to the ones on major thoroughfares similar to the subject, such as comparable 2 on McPhillips, comparable 3 on Portage Avenue is quite close, comparable 4 on Pembina, and so on from there. We have an average between the 15 comparables here of $17.46, so weighted average of $15.20 and a median of $16. Scrolling down to page 6, you'll see our workup for the property here. So like I said, 7,200 square feet of leasable area and a rental rate of $15.51 being applied. All of our parameters here are driven by the model, so 2% vacancy, 3% expenses, a $6 shortfall, and a capitalization rate of 5.75% is how we derive that $1,831,000. Page 7 shows the income value summary. There's only one stream on this property, so it's pretty straightforward. I'll laid before you as it was on page 6. Page 8 shows our general capitalization rates. I won't touch on this for every property, but I'll do it here for you now. Of course, there is no vehicle service garage category use here, but a vehicle service garage generally has some office space, some retail space, some industrial space, and or warehouse space, as you would call it, where they work on the cars. They have some offices for the managers and the salespeople who tend to work there. And then generally there's a retail component where they'll sell, car accessories and tires and whatnot generally in the front area of the shop. So in my opinion, our capitalization rate should kind of be an amalgamation of these three categories. You'll note that the lower end of these three categories between the three outside agencies that list here, Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman Wakefield, tends to fall between about 5.5 to 5.75 on the low end, and then upwards of 7 to 7.5 on the higher end. Keep in mind those are 20th and 80th percentiles for reporting here, so there are some that will fall outside of that, of course, but that is the general trend among these groups for capitalization rates. Page 9 of my brief for all Municipal Assessment Act excerpts, and then beginning on page 10 is the income and expense mailer. I take Mr. Smith's point here. This is the 2023 income and expense mailer that was included in the brief rather than the 2022 income and expense mailer. It's simply a mistake on my part. However, if you scroll down to page 12, you'll see the lease information, and the lease start date is prior to the reference date. It's August 1st, 2022. So in my opinion, that information is not post-reference, but I'll leave it to you to decide whether to accept it or not. The lease rate does show a net rate of $15.50 being applied as of that start date in 2022. Beyond that, scrolling down to page 14, you'll see a border revision order attached with this. This is for the 2025 assessment. So this is just to say that this property has been heard during this assessment cycle with the same reference date, with the similar or the same facts and evidence, and that assessment of 1.925 was confirmed. Yeah, that's all the information I have on the property here. So our 2026 assessment is actually a bit lower, $1,831,000, and I'm asking for it to be confirmed today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, have you any questions? And I can advise at the start that we will not be considering any post-reference material that was filed with respect to the property.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have a few questions. First one, of course, given workload at the city, it's my assumption that you haven't had the opportunity to visit the property?
That's correct. I haven't inspected the property.
Okay. And the material that was submitted, so you had just mentioned the prior assessment that was confirmed. You'd suggested that the material was the same. Is that correct? The material presented by the city?
I think I said that the reference date would have been the same and the facts and evidence would be similar, if not the same, but I wasn't part of that hearing.
Okay, yeah, and I do recognize that. You weren't the assessor at the time. The building itself, so we have 7,200 square foot property here. You're aware that the neighboring property to the west is almost exactly the same size on a very similar size site?
I actually didn't study the property to the west of it. I just kind of focused on this one.
Okay. All right. Let's have a quick look at your rent comparables that are utilized then. On your page number 5. So you mentioned a number here. Number 33331 Portage Avenue, 2,960 square feet at $20+ square foot. This is a small unit in an automobile strip mall, correct?
Correct.
So that would be considerably smaller than the subject?
That's right, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to touch on a few of the others here. Let's see. The Watt Street, number 6, that is actually a Domo gas bar with a small repair shop on site. Is that correct? At $28?
It is a smaller repair shop. I'm not sure if there's a Domo there as well.
Okay. So the city's not aware of that. All right. Number 7, 107 Vermilion. This is a Fountain Tire location, but it is located on the Southdale Mall development on Fermor, with a Walmart, Co-op grocery store, Canadian Tire, Shoppers Drug Mart, and various other retailers, correct?
Correct. It is
And
in a
that
strip
would
mall,
have an
yes.
impact on the rental rate that was achievable, correct?
I can't say for certain how that would impact the rental rate.
Okay. Thank you. Similarly, number 11, 20 Lakewood Boulevard. This is a Boyd Auto, and it's immediately adjacent to that same Southwood Mall development, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 226 St. Anne's, you have in there, I've noticed that is located at the northwest corner of the St. Mary's and Fermor intersection, correct? That'd be
Yes, St. Anne's and Fermor, yes.
Okay, and there's two on site. There's two auto uses, a Midas and a Mr. Lube, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And they're immediately across the road from Superstore at that location, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Moving on to capitalization rate. And again, this will be taking into account our history with the property, as well as other auto dealers and auto repair shops in this cycle and past ones. It has been, with regard to capitalization rate, the testimony from the city with regard to capitalization rate has always been that it is considered in the retail sphere and typically within the power center capitalization rate classification. You had noted different individual portion uses and are speaking of a blend of capitalization rate. Is that a new approach, or is that your individual take on this?
It's my individual take on this.
Okay. And looking at the capitalization rates and looking at the retail rates in particular, so the city has 20th to 80th percentile rates of 5.65 to 7 for power center / neighborhood retail shopping center. And the rate assigned to this is 5.75. So this is essentially considered the best of the best as far as retail goes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then skipping down to page 10 and onwards for the I&E, I know that it is post-reference. Has the city looked into this particular lease at all as far as the background with regard to it?
Only what's been submitted to us.
Okay, and that's fair. Thank you very much. Those are all of my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Knight, any questions?
Yeah, the applicant was asking you about things that are across the street from this. Is there a Walmart across from this place?
The subject property, it's essentially across from Unicity.
Okay, that's really my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread.
I heard Mr. Smith say something about this valuation being a reduction in value over previous assessment. Is there something going on that this property is of less value than prior years? It's not increasing in value?
Right. So the 2025 board order that I included there, starting on page 14, shows that the 2025 assessment was 1.925.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that hearing, the assessor conducted the hearing. It appears it made some changes and issued an adjustment within our system here. And that's how we got the 1.831. So there was a small reduction, a change to the categorization of the property or some sort of characteristics that would have reduced that value.
Thank you. That's helpful. No other questions?
Thank you. And I have no questions. Mr. Smith, your evidence, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So with regard to the issue that was just brought up in the last question there, I can address that to begin with. So in the 2025 assessment, the property was assessed as a commercial auto dealer, CMVCD. It was assessed as such at $1,925,000. And in the hearing, the city presented the property as a CMVSR, which indeed it was. It had changed and should have been assessed as such to start with. So they presented a value of $1,831,000. This is shown in the addendum materials with the original brief from the city. It's labeled page number 1 in the addenda. Shortly after the order there, you can see where it begins. And so clearly they realized their error and reduced the request or the assessment to $1,831,000 from $1,925,000. Curiously, the value was confirmed at $1,925,000 as a CMVSR. So it was neither assessed as a CMVSR or presented as such, and yet the value was confirmed at $1,925,000. So a lot of things going on there. I've presented that material in the addenda for you, as well as my original brief. Now, if you look at that brief from the city, it is somewhat different than, to Mr. Kupfer's point, it is somewhat similar. They've just presented a very reduced amount of rental rate comps. Anyway, that is the background material for you with regard to that original confirmation. I will stay in the addenda materials for the moment and direct you to the 2023 order, which is a couple of pages further on, in which you can see property was reduced from 1,870,000 to 1,106,000 based on our valuation of the property, which is presented following that. Beyond that, we're looking at some of the evidence from the current cycle regarding other auto dealers and the typical approach that we've taken on those, as well as the typical reduction that we see on those. So all in all, the evidence that has been presented on the property has been pretty consistent on our part, certainly. You can see the rental rate ranges that were used and the reductions that were granted. The neighboring property, which we did represent in this cycle, is also included in the addenda, almost at the very end, 3960 Portage Avenue, pardon me. This is a Mazda dealership. It is owned and operated by the tenant of this property. And you can see the reduction that was granted on that property. We'll see that in the photos coming up. It is 100 square feet bigger in terms of net area, net leasable area. The site is almost exactly the same size. They're very similar buildings in terms of their size, orientation, layout, utility, etc. So we have very differing decisions taken on virtually identical buildings located side by side. I had also referred in my questioning to the background of the lease for the subject property, and I certainly understand how the city wouldn't necessarily have time to look into all of these things. The background with regard to the post-reference material that was presented is that it's essentially a forced lease. The 3690 neighboring property that we were just discussing, owned and operated by the tenant of this property, is a Mazda dealership. In the auto dealership world, the brands essentially have a huge amount of influence on the owners and operators as to whether they continue as their owners and operators. And the small size of unit 3690 didn't allow them to have a repair and collision center on site. And Mazda approached the owner of 3690, tenant of this property, and essentially said, you need to have a repair and collision shop, or you will no longer be the Mazda dealership in the city of Winnipeg. So they were forced into a situation where they needed to quickly lease a property adjacent to them. And the owner of 3680 Portage Avenue was well aware of this fact, as they are an existing and former auto dealer in Western Canada and have all of those ties. So they knew this fact, and they were able to charge a well above market rental rate on a short term to the tenant. So that is the background with regard to that post-reference material. So we really can't place any weight on that, as they were forced into a short-term deal while they examined their options of relocating elsewhere. That is the background. Let's move through the brief relatively quickly, as suggested by you, Mr. Chair. Looking at our property details beginning on page number 3. We have a 2026 assessment now based on CMVSR of $1,831,000. Property originally built in '88 with an effective age of 2010. You can see the leasable area as well as the site area. Site area under an acre, certainly well below the size typically utilized by auto dealers, certainly, and in many cases for automobile service and repair facilities as well, in terms of having the amount of space to store vehicles and operate on them. So it has a significant amount of obsolescence in that regard. Let's look at the photos quickly, beginning on page number 4. You can see the exteriors, the rear yard, front of the property. This, as an auto dealer, was significantly undersized. You can see the very small office and reception area at the front, which they have partially now devoted to working on cars as well, as you can see on the bottom of page number 6, and then the rear of the facility on page number 7 and page number 8. This site description is shown on page 9 with the layout perpendicular to Portage Avenue, as well as the property location on the very west end of Portage Avenue. Now, to one panel member's point, yes, there is a development on the north side of Portage Avenue. Smart Center, former mall, now a power center, essentially. The difference here, and it's a fairly important one, is that this facility is not on site. It's not immediately adjacent. It's across the road. Point number 2, the Unicity site is certainly a much less desirable location in terms of retail and performance than the other power center nodes within the city. It definitely underperforms with regard to them. So the draw there is significantly less. And point 3, a big reason for that is that it is nearly on the edge of the city with not a lot of inbound traffic from all directions. So you have a somewhat isolated situation with regard to that particular development. It does not have the same draw as property located on site or immediately adjacent to a development such as that. Let's move down quickly onto my page number 12. This is a description of automobile dealerships and service repair facilities. Somewhat, it describes what is clearly shown in Winnipeg as the three-stage life cycle for these particular properties. Auto dealers typically start out as branded dealers. Then when they become obsolete for that due to size, location, other factors, they tend to descend to stage 2, in which they're utilized as used automobile dealerships. And then when they become essentially obsolete for that particular purpose, they become stage 3 redevelopment sites. I've got a number of examples there. This particular property fits well within this. Going back in time, at one point, it would have been a branded automobile facility, first-run dealership, be that Ford, Mazda, Honda, whatever. And it has descended to become used automobile dealership of a number of different operators over time, and now it has descended one step further into being a automobile service and repair facility, as noted. So the next stage would essentially be redevelopment of this site. So it is dropping down the list, and the desirability is obviously coincides with those stages, as well as the achievable rental rates. Now, let's look at valuation of the subject property beginning on my page 15. We've given you 16 rents of appropriate automobile collision and repair centers. Obviously, there's going to be some range in rental rates, location, and the other applicable factors. There is no perfect comps out there, so what we do is look at the market and present the best material available. Now, the subject property is 7,800 square feet in size, which is certainly larger than a lot of most of the city's comparables, and certainly some of the ones that we have on here as well. It is a collision center. So looking at collision centers on our list, we have Boyd Auto Body on King Edward, 15,000 square feet, so a little larger, but still well located. 2018 lease beginning at $850. I believe that has since increased and will have gone up a couple of dollars since that time frame. Pardon me. We also have number 3, 2645 Pembina Highway. This is located essentially at Bison and Pembina Highway. Excellent location. Smaller, 3,000 square feet, 2022 lease, so very recent, at $11.28 a square foot. High profile, good location, built in 87, so very similar to the subject property. Moving down, we have 3 located on Regent Avenue in what is essentially a auto service strip, 1384 Regent Avenue. This is 4 through 6. You can see that they are obviously smaller than the subject property, but the rents there, relatively recent, run from $8 to $12 per square foot. Jumping down, the peak of our rents is number 9. This is a fountain tire repair facility located in downtown Winnipeg, just north of Broadway. Excellent location for downtown workers to drop their vehicle off and pick it up at the end of the day. Similar size to the subject. And in that peak location, they're able to achieve a rental rate of $13 per square foot. That is essentially the peak of the market that we would see out there. The remainder of the properties are there for you to look at as well. I will point out the 1861 Pembina Highway at $9 per square foot is certainly towards the low end of what we would see out there. This is a facility that's located at the back end of a retail development. So essentially no visibility, and the rental rate is appropriate for that. Following that, you can see the locations and photos of a number of these comparables so that you can get a sense of where the subject would fall. Our summary of this is on page 21, looking at the size, location, quality, etc. of the subject property in relation to these. We've applied a rental rate towards the upper end of the market at $12 per square foot. Now, you need to take into account economies of scale as well when you're applying the appropriate rental rate, which we have done. Let's move on to vacancy. We provide the vacancy stats for you there. I'm not going to go into details. Suffice it to say, 2% applied by the city's model is far too low. This essentially amounts to 1 month vacancy in a 5-year period, which is not appropriate. We've applied the appropriate 4% based on the evidence provided in the vacancy there. We're in agreement with regard to shortfall and expense allowance, so we don't need to discuss those. The capitalization rate is a significant difference. The city's applied a cap rate of 5.75%, essentially the peak end of, or the very lowest end of retail capitalization rates, as evidenced by their chart. If you look at this in relation to the subject property, we have a property that is no longer used for its original purpose. It has descended in terms of the stages of these particular properties, and is essentially being used on an ad hoc basis before redevelopment occurs for that particular site. It's too small, the build out is incorrect, and there's not enough space on the site for storage of vehicles. Looking at our study, you can see transactions of retail properties in the city. Now, is this a retail property? It is a retail location, and it does serve the public. Now, are there other uses within the facility? Yes, there's a single office, but essentially it is a retail facility. Certainly, there wouldn't be any aspect of industrial and or office that would be applicable to a property such as this. The cap rate study presented on page 24 gives you that background. You can see the retail cap rates that educated investors have been paying for recent transactions in the city. These are not going to represent single CMVSR transactions, but they are indicative of what an astute investor would pay for a retail property in the city. You can see they're typically strip malls and have occurred in relatively recent time. The cap rates in our study here range from 6.3% on the low end for a well-located retail strip mall on Pembina, up to a high of just over 9% for a regional shopping center on McPhillips. We're not placing any reliance on that. Obviously, that's out of the sphere for the subject property. So the typical range here is in that 6.5% to call it 8% range is what we are seeing. The photos of these individual transactions follow on the next pages. And our summary of our valuation is on page number 28. So we give you the background with regard to commercial brokerages and their cap rate ranges. Dominantly 6.5% to 7.5% for investment grade retail assets. As always discussed, we have the significant rise in interest rates over the year prior to the valuation, which obviously have an impact on cap rates as well. So it's not appropriate to have a cap rate at the very bottom end of the cap rate range for that the city has for a variety of reasons. As discussed, we have assigned a cap rate of 6.75% for the subject property. The summary on page 28, using our $12 per square foot net rental rate, 4% vacancy appropriate for the market, and cap rate of 6.75, we get a final market value of $1,166,000. That is my presentation, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Cuthbert, questions?
Just a couple quick ones. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I believe you described this as a former branded auto dealership that's now been renovated and converted into a vehicle service garage. Is that correct?
Partly. It at one time would have been a first run dealership. It then became a used auto dealership and is now utilized as a vehicle service and repair collision center. It hasn't been renovated, as you can see from the photos. They're simply using it as is.
Okay. Which of your comparables would have undergone a similar or the same transition?
Which of our comparables?
The rent comparables.
Well, let me get to the appropriate page. Typically, these the rental comparables that you're looking at here are not converted from first run auto dealers. They're typically commercial vehicle service repair centers designed as such to start with. The exceptions would be number 11, the Match Auto Market on 231 Oak Point Road. 2554 Portage Avenue, number 15, is a former First Run auto dealer that is not a great comp, as it has tenants that come and go fairly frequently in there as used auto dealers. And that, I think, is it as far as that particular transition.
Okay, thank you. And just looking at your capitalization rates on page 24, I'm just wondering how does one draw a conclusion from this? Like, I'm looking at comparable 3 on Henderson Highway with a capitalization rate of 8.9, and then comparable 4 on Pembina Highway with a similar sale price, similar sales date, but the capitalization rate is about 2.5% lower. So what are we meant to draw from this?
Well, the subject property, as noted, is essentially a retail property and is treated as such both by the city and appellants. The comparables are all within the retail sphere, so we should be looking at retail capitalization rates, which is what we presented here. Now, we're not going to find capitalization rates for individual CMVSRs. That's pretty rare. Typically, for the most part, often they're owner occupied and are sold on to a new owner occupant. That's not always the case, as we do have some rents out there, both the city and ourselves. But there are no capitalization rates from identical type properties that we can refer to in the marketplace. So what we need to do is look at what astute investors are paying for retail property rates in order to frame the subject property and apply an appropriate rental rate on that basis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Those are my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight, questions?
Just when you were talking about the property next door, what is that property next door?
It's the Mazda dealership, Crown Mazda.
And this is the auto service for the Mazda dealership, correct?
That's correct.
Do they do
They're a separate
all types of
business.
vehicles, or is it just simply for the Mazda dealership?
They do all types of vehicles. It's a separate operating entity, and it does all types of vehicles. So it's not restricted to Mazda. It's simply a Crown Auto Collision Center.
Okay.
The reason they're there is because Mazda forced them to open a collision center essentially immediately adjacent to that location.
Okay, so on your page 15, where you're showing all your auto sales, auto service, Southside Auto, Ultimate Auto Service, you don't use that you didn't put that in that next door property in as a comparison?
It's an owner occupied property, so there is no.
Oh, okay. That's why it's not in there. Okay.
Otherwise, that would be ideal, but yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a couple of questions with respect to your comparables on page 15, Mr. Smith. The subject property has a significant parking area, significant land to plan ratio. Of your comparables, which one would have similar land to plan ratio? I know, for example, from the pictures that you've shown, and the parking area seems quite a bit smaller for these comparables. But are there any that have a similar land to plan as the subject property?
Well, so I'll address that in a couple of ways, I guess. So to start with, it's the overall area of the site that is small. You're looking at the land to plan area ratio, and yes, it's a healthy one. I will say that it's not 8-to-1 that they're typically looking for, but it's not small. However, it's on under an acre, so the actual size that they have does not serve the needs of these vehicle service repairs and or auto dealers particularly well anymore. It's actually undersized. So looking at the comps, obviously we don't have that particular item in there. Their site area is going to vary. 1870 King Edward would have a large site. Unfortunately, I don't have that for each of these, so it's difficult to give you a particular breakdown as far as that goes. But yeah, that's a difficult one to answer, I'm afraid.
Fair enough. And when you talk about this being undersized, that's with respect to it being, if it had been assessed as a dealership as opposed to a vehicle service center. Is that safe to say, fair to say?
It's certainly more applicable to auto dealerships than it is to service and repair facilities. Yes, right. But not entirely. They do need the space for vehicle storage.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, you had indicated as well with respect to the lease that Mazda had been, for want of a better word, coerced into signing because of the location and the requirement of the Mazda dealership. It is not Mazda Canada or the next door dealership that owns the subject property. This would be the equivalent of an arm's length, or it could be the definition of an arm's length lease.
So yes, it is certainly an arm's length lease. Back to our original point, it is post-reference. And when we look at the qualifying comparables in terms of being market rents, this clearly does not meet the criteria for a market rent in that it is a forced rent. I've described the background other than having testimony from the people involved. I can't really provide more detail, but it shouldn't be considered because it's not a market rent as well as being post-reference.
Okay, well, the rent, and I take your point on the post-reference in that the material was filed, but the lease, it indicates on that page 10 of the city's brief, the lease began in 2022 and ran till 2025, or was a 3-year term, rather. I don't know what kind of thing took place on that, but
yes, it is a short term, and again, the entire reason for that lease is that Mazda has forced it. And when you look at the qualifications of market rents, that is very clearly against the qualifications for being a market rent, in that there is a heavy motivation on the part of the tenant to lease that particular space in that particular spot, and a knowledge on the part of the property owner that they are in a position of power and able to achieve an above market rental rate. So it does not meet the requirements of being a market rental rate, beyond being, again, post-reference material.
okay,
There
thank
is
you.
2022 I&E that I believe we've submitted in the addenda as well.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further. Mr. Kupfer, is there any summation?
None from me, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
No, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Then, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter. And Mr. Smith, Mr. Kupfer, thank you for your presentations. Mr. Smith, I think that's your only matter today, is it not?
It is. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And you will be advised, you'll be receiving our decision shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if we could move on to number 2 on the docket, please. Mrs. Harland, I believe that the applicant will require being affirmed.
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mooney. Do you, would you please state your full name?
Carson John Horsburgh.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kupfer, if we can turn to number 2 on the list, it's street address of 1595 Erin. And I note that you have requested that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation. I would ask that you introduce the property and then perhaps skip to your evidence with respect to the non-cooperation, at which point the board will decide, and we will proceed according to how that decision goes.
Thank you, sir. That's file number 25-352. The roll number is 13011582500. Street address is 1595 Erin Street, and we have a 2026 assessed value of $2,002,000 that I'm asking to be confirmed today. Scrolling all the way down to my page 10, you'll see the beginning of the non-compliance information. So this is the letter, the second letter dated to Canada Post. You can see the delivery date, posted June 14th, 2023. There is a signature from the property owner or somebody at the property at the time on Erin Street. And then the following page on page 11 shows the tracking progression from when the item was processed on June 9th to when it was delivered on the 14th with the signature. Beyond that, I've just included on page 12, 13, and 14, again, the 2025 border revision order. This property was heard, again, by a different assessor with the same reference date. Non-compliance was already applied during that order, and the assessed value was confirmed. So that's all the preliminary information I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hornsberg, any questions with respect to the non-cooperation or non-compliance?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions. I have addressed non-compliance with rebuttal.
Okay, well, we'll get your evidence with respect to the non-compliance. We're just dealing with the non-compliance here now, and you don't have any questions with respect to the non-compliance.
No,
but if I'm taking what you say accurately, you do have evidence to provide with respect to the non-compliance.
yes, the owner did sign an affidavit attesting to the fact that he never received it.
Okay, we'll get to that. Sure. We'll do the questions first of all, and then you can submit the evidence that you have. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions on the non-compliance issue?
I do, yes. I don't see a letter, the original letter that normally goes out in April of the year to the property owner in your evidence. Does that not exist, Mr. Cufford?
It exists. It just simply wasn't included. I felt like the signed Canada Post information was kind of the strongest information to include. But you're right, Mr. Whitbread. It's 2 letters we send, the first one in April and then the second one in June. And it's the second one where we get the Canada Post signature on it. And
yet we don't know where this was sent. That's my conundrum. I'm not seeing an address it was sent to.
Yeah, it doesn't. It isn't
any of this.
Yeah, it's included on the cover letter, but not on this. But I can confirm that it was mailed out to their Erin Street address. That's the mailing address we have on file.
I understand that, but still lacking the evidence. Okay, we'll and I'm just going on the comments that Mr. Smith or Mr. Carson just said about the owner claims that they never received it. So we'll come back to that, I think, when we get to him. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, questions?
That was my question, is where's the letter?
I have been advised about the answers to my questions as well. And so we will turn to Mr. Hornsberg's evidence, please, with respect to that. Mrs. Harlan, do we have a copy of that rebuttal evidence as yet?
Yes, I can put it in your file right now, and I can send it to the assessor if he needs it.
Please, would you do that? Mr. Kupfer may have some questions with respect to that. I'm
I will,
assuming
Mr. Chair.
that we'll have to refresh our the OneDrive.
Yes, just give me a moment, please.
Okay.
Okay, can you please let me know when that's in your folder, Mr. Chair?
I'm just
Did you assign it a number?
The title starts with rebuttal applicant and then the date. And then 25352 Aaron Street, etc.
I have not received it. Let me refresh again.
Okay, it's uploading.
Let us know when it's finished loading. There it is.
Yep.
Oh, there it is right at the top. Okay.
And I've just
and-
sent it to the assessor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kupfer, have you received a copy of the rebuttal?
I have.
Appears for some reason you've attached an article from the Free Press as well. I'm not sure why, Mr. Hornsberg.
Mr. Chair, if I may, there's a bit of a history on this property, and that's why I've included the Free Press article. There's been a number of years now that there's been a bit of an issue with them either not receiving or not understanding the process, and that's why I've included it. I guess before I address my rebuttal, I suspect it's going to be mostly moot. And the reason for that is that the square footage for the property, as reported to me by the owner, is significantly different from what the city has on record. And therefore, I'm not actually comfortable proceeding with my evidence because I'm here under oath and I don't know that these square footages are accurate.
Okay, before we get to that, I'm not sure what, before you take a position with respect to that, let's deal with the issues under Section 54, the non-cooperation, non-compliance. Would you please give your evidence with respect to the non-compliance? We do have a copy of the affidavit, but perhaps for the purposes of those watching on YouTube and for the verbal record, if you could outline your evidence, please, and then Mr. Kupfer and Ms. Knight and Mr. Whitbread and perhaps me will have some questions for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so on the first page, I've just provided a summary. Section 54 3.2 is a discretionary provision of the Act, not a mandatory one. We are in the second year of the assessment cycle. Should the board grant non-compliance, there would be no tax savings achieved. should the board agree that the property's been overassessed. So the owner of London Limo is the owner of the Aaron Street Building Corporation that owns 1595 Aaron Street. With the matter of non-compliance, they did appeal the property themselves last year. I think ultimately they didn't attend the hearing. And based on what my client has affirmed, they never received the questionnaire. It's possible it was sent to one of their tenants. But ultimately they never received the questionnaire and therefore they never filled it out and submitted it. The reason for including the Free Press article, really the article I guess speaks for itself in many ways. They were delinquent when it came to business taxes. The city had issued the business assessment in error, using a larger square footage than what was really accurate. But essentially there's a history here of, I guess, the owner perhaps not fully understanding the process. And my ask is that the board would grant some leniency for this taxpayer.
Okay, Mr. Kupfer, any questions?
If I'm clear here, Mr. Horsborough, the affidavit is saying that Mr. Sandhu did not receive the questionnaire. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the signed Canada Post information that I provided in my brief and you have in yours as well shows that the signatory is an A. Lawrence. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So did you take any effort to understand who A. Lawrence is? Is that a tenant within the building? Are there multiple owners of this corporation?
I'm not certain. That's what the owner has provided me with. He said he's not A. Lawrence. He doesn't know who A. Lawrence is.
Okay. Per the wording of the Assessment Act, does it matter if it's the first year or the second year under appeal, or is it simply stated it's the year after the year the appeal was filed that the penalty will be applied?
The year after. But we are headed into a reassessment, hence the no tax sentence.
Okay. Those are my questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, have you any questions?
Well, similar to what the other gentleman just asked, it says, I have made diligent inquiries of all employees, but it doesn't say that I don't have an employee named A. Lawrence.
No, and that's correct. Yeah.
So we don't know if there's an A. Lawrence that worked for him in this time frame. It just says he's made diligent inquiries of all employees. So we don't know at the time on 2025, October 30th, he made requests of all of his employees as of that date, but this is prior to, so we don't know if an A. Lawrence worked at that time or not.
I would have to agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Whitbread.
My question asked and answered.
I just have one question with respect to process. I'm not sure who David Charles King is, but many affidavits are accompanied with, especially for proceedings, quasi-judicial, are accompanied with an affidavit of execution prepared by the notary public or the person who has executed or taken the affidavit from the initial individual. Are you in possession of any affidavit of execution with respect to this?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further. What we'll do is we'll go in camera so that the panel can talk about this and discuss the best way to proceed, and we will come back when that discussion is complete. So, Mrs. Harlan, if we can go in camera, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll just
And
take.
Mr. Hornsberg, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the room as well when we're discussing it.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, pardon me, Mr. Chair, I just put the assessor in the waiting room. I'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you. Call this meeting back to order. The panel has deliberated and the onus will remain with the city. We are not satisfied that the city has discharged their onus of proof to prove the non-compliance or the non-cooperation pursuant to Section 53. And so I will have Mr. Kupfer please present his evidence with respect to this. However, before he does, Mr. Hornsberg, you were indicating during the evidence that your submission with respect to the non-cooperation that you had some issues about proceeding on this, and I wasn't sure if you were what your final position was going to be, whether you were going to seek confirmation or what you were going to do with respect to this. And so if you could clarify that, if we are proceeding on this property or not.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The square footage reported to me by the client it was substantially lower than what the city has on record. After reviewing what the city has on record, I'm not confident that the square footages I've included are accurate. And as such, I don't feel that it would be proper for me to proceed, as I don't know for a fact that this is correct. So unfortunately, I will have to ask the board to confirm the assessment.
Okay. Thank you for that. Mr. Kupfer, you have already introduced the property. You've introduced the amount of the assessed value. Do you have any questions of Mr. Hornsberg, or do you have anything else to add?
I don't. No, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Knight, do you have anything to add or any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Whitbread.
I only have one point, very, very minor, but it's worth noting. You're confirming at 2,002,000. When I did the math, I got 2,006,000. Have I missed something, Mr. Kupfer?
No, you haven't missed anything, and that's shown on the page 7 as well for the estimated market value. I believe it's just a bit of a rounding issue with our system in here and how they're combining the two streams. But the value under appeal is 2,002,000, and that's what's being asked to be confirmed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. I had one of those questions noted as well.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Now I notice it.
Okay, thank you. Then, having heard the evidence and the request for confirmation from Mr. Hornsberg, we will conclude this matter, and a copy of the decision will be sent to you in due course. Thank you very much, Mr. Hornsberg. Is that your only matter today?
That's my only matter. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the panel members, and thank you, Mr. Kupfer.
Thank you. If we can please move on to, or see, it's 10 past 10. Does anyone need a break at this point for 5 minutes?
Yes, please, Mr. Chair.
Okay, if we can take 5 minutes then and then come back at 10:18. Thank you. I would like to call the meeting back to order, please. The next matter on the list is at 640 St. James. I believe that is one that Mr. Neufeld has registered. Would you please affirm, Mr. Neufeld, Mrs. Harland?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Neufeld, would you please state your full name?
Rocky Neufeld.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Kupfer, the street address of 640 St. James Street.
Sorry to interrupt before you start. Does the board have any evidence from Colliers on this?
We do not, and I note as
Okay.
well that there are 3 points of appeal: the amount of the valuation, the classification, the liability to taxation, as well, that were noted in the agenda.
Right. I was just going to ask the assessor, did you discuss this at all with Ayrton, this property?
Not for this border revision, no.
Okay. I haven't spoke to him, but I've looked at his workup, and I think we're just going to ask to confirm everything if we could to speed things along.
Okay, thank you for that. But we'll have Mr. Kupfer introduce the property and provide a short description for the purposes of the record, and then we will have the confirmation recorded. Mr. Kupfer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is file number 25-248. The roll number is 0700156350. The street address is 640 St. James Street, and we have a 2026 assessed value of $540,000 that I'm going to ask to be confirmed today. Thank you.
Thank you. And having heard your comments, Mr. Neufeld, do you have any questions or anything to add?
No, again, we agree. We should please confirm this.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none either, thank you.
And I have none. And then, having heard the evidence and the request for Mr. Neufeld for confirmation, we will conclude this matter and move on to number 4 on the docket. That is the street address of 1360 Kenniston. And I note as well that there are 3 points of revision that have been filed as well: valuation, liability to taxation, and classification. Mr. Kupfer, would you please introduce this property and provide your evidence?
This is file number 25-238. The roll number is 1000-677-6065. Then the street address is 1360 Kenniston Boulevard. This is a commercial vehicle service related property with a land area of just under 80,000 square feet and a leasable area of just under 19,000 square feet. The building is quite new. It was constructed in 2017, as you'll see. We have a 2026 assessed value of $4,557,000. I'm going to ask be confirmed today. Scrolling to page 2 of my brief, you can see an overhead view of the site. It's on the corner of Rothwell and Kenniston Boulevard. Scrolling down to page 3 and page 4, you can see some better photos of it. It's called Pinnacle Collision Center, at least they have on the wall there. Getting onto my page 5 here, notice the comparables I provided. These are all vehicle service garages spread out throughout the city. We have an average of $17.46, a weighted average of $15.20, and a median of $16. Beginning on page 6, you'll see our breakdown, our income workup for the property. So as I noted, a leasable area of just under 19,000 square feet and a rental rate of $15.95 being applied. All of these are modeled parameters. I haven't touched any of these. It's 2% vacancy, 3% expenses, $6 shortfall allowance, and a capitalization rate of 6.25%. Is how you derive that value of $4,557,000. Page 7 of my brief shows the income value summary. There's only one stream on this property, so it's all straightforward there. Beginning on page 8, we show our capitalization rates. It's our standard capitalization rate table. As noted before, vehicle service garage isn't one of the tracked categories here. And then beginning on page 10, I have the income and expense mailer. 2022 income and expense mailer for the property submitted to us by the owners. They indicate that there is a gross lease in place or a gross rent in place, and that the net operating income derived from the site after those reductions is $350,297. That's what's showing on page 10. Contrasted to the net operating income we have modeled here of $284,791. So what's being reported for the NOI is actually quite a bit higher than what we have modeled. But that's about all I know about it, so I'll leave it at that. So again, 2026 assessed value, $4,557,000. I'll recommend be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, questions?
Yes, sorry, I just need 20 seconds. I have to fix something on my computer here. Excuse me. It crashed on me yesterday, and I'm having problems with it. But I just have to resurrect the screen. Okay, thank you. So I heard you say, of course, that this was all done by the model, this valuation. Is that, I just want to reconfirm that if I could.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And the floor area here, what is the difference between the plan area and the leasable area?
I'm showing no difference. The gross, the plan area, 15,268. I'm not sure. I can't speak to that.
Well, you're using 18,933, and I was just wondering where that number came from. Is there an upper area in here?
That's what that would suggest. I haven't inspected the site.
Okay. And I was just and this is a body shop, correct? A auto body shop.
Yes, that's correct.
I was looking at some of your comparables, and this is one that was puzzling me. Number 4, 2735 Pembina. You have this service garage?
Yeah, we have that as a Midas Auto.
Okay, I'm looking at a picture of it because this had me confused. It's a WRHA access center.
Well, the start date I have for the lease there is back in 2020, and
Yeah.
it's showing as a 1-year lease. So potentially that's changed in the interim.
No, that's not the correct address. 2735 has been an access center for some time and was vacated in 2023 by WHA. So I'm going to suggest that you probably don't have the correct address here.
Okay, I'll look into that after the hearing. Thank you.
Okay. And sorry, what I was wondering if you had mistakenly done the neighbor at 2741.
It's possible. Again, I'd look into it at another time.
Okay, because the neighbor is an owner-operated site. I'm just trying to clarify this. I'd seen that. And these leases, they've got a fairly wide range. I note from $9 at the low end on Pembina to an upper end at $31.85. Is it possible that some of these might be gross rents?
Well, we analyze them all, and we do our best to ensure that they are all net leases. Of course, mistakes can happen.
Okay, that's a fair answer. Thank you. The workup from the model then, so as a service garage, the model generated a cap rate of 6.25%. Now, from your table on page, I know it's here somewhere, page 8. Does this come from a particular category in your model? Is it derived from a retail or an industrial rate? Do you know?
Honestly, I don't know specifically how that number comes from.
To your knowledge, have there been any sales of investment grade service garages in Winnipeg in the last few years?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So it's then that this is then I suppose the best word might be more of a hypothetical rate.
Yes, that's fair.
Okay. Did you now you provided the income statement, and this came from the owner of the property, I take it, and that was any analysis done on this? Do you know anything about it?
Only what I've stated, that it's indicated to be a gross rate, and that the net operating income minus the expenses there is listed as 350,297.
Okay. And I didn't have too many more questions here. Okay, nope, actually that's it. Sorry, those are my only questions then.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Whitbread? Oh, Mr. Whitbread, sorry, I think you're muted.
Sorry. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you. My question relates to the pictures on your page and some of the location, just for clarification, on page 4. The vehicle service center, it's the Pinnacle Collision Center. Is this next door to the Mercedes dealership that abuts Kenniston?
Yes, I believe it is. They've got the Mercedes approved collision center banner on their wall. In fact, you can see it on my page 4.
Right, okay. And this was built at the same time as this was built in 2017, correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further. Mr. Neufeld, your evidence, please.
Thank you. So this is indeed the Mercedes Auto Body Center. It's located adjacent to their dealership. They own the dealership and they lease this. It was a development lease back. And just to give you an idea of the income provided by the assessor, this was a development deal for the entire premises, including furniture, fixtures, and equipment, operating non-taxable items. It was amortized into a lease, and it typically, you see this a lot in the business, but it's certainly not a lease. It's a financing of construction, and the interesting thing about it is when they did their financing, they used a return rate of 8% on it. But again, this isn't what we're going to be relying on for value because it's not a traditional lease. It is a fairly modern shop, and the rents we were looking at we have a fairly large selection of them, and okay, this is like lazy man's work here, but they just put all of them in the table. I was just trying to identify a few that were fairly similar, and we had 2479 Pembina at 1071, and 1322 Waverly, which is actually a super light at 685, 120 King Edward, which is Boyd, at 850, and sorry, I thought we had another table in here. So there I see it below. Page 5, of course, indicates the recovery arrangement between the landlord and tenant at 8%. More auto body rents on the following pages. On page 6, sorry. Now we had a different number on Statacona than the assessor did. Just don't know why we have that difference, but we do. 231 Oak Point is another. I'm sorry, I read things backwards. 231 Oak Point was a motorcycle dealership that's been converted to a used car sales and detailing site, and that's at a $7 rent. Going to the next page, I think there's a few more auto body shops here. At the bottom of page 7, there are 2 locations that are across the street from the subject. It's an industrial building that was converted to half retail, half industrial. TransCanada Brewing at $12, and the barbecue shop at $12.50. Just an indication of the market for this particular area. Oh, sorry, these pictures are incorrect. These are pictures of the Mercedes dealership next door. And our applied rate was $10, and this is consistent with the body shop rents that we found that were true body shops, and we capped it at 7.5%, and that's indicative of the rough usage on it. And this is not a pretty building. This is not something that's an investor is interested in body shops, because of the type of work they do. And now today's body shop has more modern equipment, so they don't throw off a lot of toxic materials either in the air or in the ground, but they still use paint and chemicals and things that aren't you would find in cleaner buildings. So an investor really has very little interest in body shops. The only investment body shop rents we've ever seen are when Boyd went public, but that was their entire operation. That wasn't the real estate portion of it. The issues with it, of course, now are number one is the access. So to get into this site, it's not on Kenniston, it's off Kenniston on Lowson, and it's a road that's shared with industrial users. When I bring my vehicle into service, it's incredible how painful it is to get out of there. There's always loaded with trucks because the neighbors include a scrap metal dealer, an oil recycler, a brewery, and a trucking company. And then in the front, it's been a bit, we'll call it gentrified with the automobile dealers. So it's a mixed use, but access is very poor. Visibility is great, but access is poor. For alternate use, so you won't find that a retailer who prefers who's trying to cater to impulse decisions. You know, impulse retailing is you're driving by and you say, "Oh, I think I'll stop in there and buy something." This would never work. This has to be a site that you plan to go to and you know how to get in and out of it. The quality, again, it's a shop. It's not pretty retail. It's meant for fixing cars, painting them and straightening frames and work such like that. The parking ratio is well, it's not the greatest. It was, see, this was a kind of a leftover site. It was the same vendor who sold Mercedes their land, and they hung on to it for a few years until Mercedes had moved in, and then they developed this property for them. The idea was that they would try to use some of the land for the Mercedes dealership. So they are rather squeezed in here for land. The entire, I'm thinking of it in the entire complex as a whole is less than 5 acres. And for a modern car dealership of their size, in Canadian sites, you're going to see a 10-acre site. In other countries, they'll build up because they're permitted to and have their storage inside. Not so in Canada. So 10 acres is a requirement. So they are still 5 acres short. They've recently bought another site at 237 Lowson to give them an additional acre of parking, and that's in the rear. That's for their trucking, Mercedes trucks. So it's the right neighborhood for them. It's great visibility for them, but the utility is on the low side. And as a result, we looked at the quality of it and deemed that the interest in it would be at the 7.5% level. And incidentally, a note on how we arrived at this, we started with the industrial rate, a good industrial rate, and then adjusted it accordingly. So a good industrial rate is going to be accommodate large trucks with big turning circles and high ceilings, and this does not have that. The retail orientation. And I don't, just trying to see if there's anything else in here now that I noticed they got the wrong pictures in. That's a disappointment. There was a note on the cap rates, and there's a really lengthy discussion starting on page 41 and carrying on. And what we're trying to say, essentially, page 45 is that this is what large companies like ours track for cap rates, because this is what the investor wants. They don't want body shops. They don't want small outfits. The descriptions tell you what they're looking for, what an investor looks for. And what that means is there's more competition for the cap rate on it. And there's outside sources of money from pension funds and REITs and insurance companies that will invest and offer lower interest rates than a traditional bank. The table on page 47 demonstrates the Bank of Canada prime at the time. They've reference date was 4.75%. So that's Bank of Canada. So your bank prime is going to be anywhere from 5.5% to 6.5%. And your loan rate is going to be at this particular time much higher than that. And that's what goes into a cap rate. You borrow money, you pay your mortgage, and you have to make money on profit on it. So that's why a cap rate has to be a minimum, as of the reference date, a minimum of 7.5%. And there's no preferential financing for properties like this. There's no CMHC or anything like that. The typical way that these are appraised, and I am an accredited appraiser. I do spend most of my time doing appraisal work for other purposes. So the typical way what we would do with these is do a use value, and that's the contribution of the asset to the business, and it's not market value. And then because the sales are usually generated from user to user. So one body shop owner will buy it from another body shop owner. He's got an established body shop with the equipment in place and appropriate permission from the city in place, and that goes into the purchase price. And the sales are driven by those factors, non-investment factors. And I'm just saying all this just to put this in perspective, that the concept of a cap rate is something that applies to investment properties. And when you stray outside the investment property area, the application, as the assessor's own model indicates, is what we would call hypothetical. It's not lower than good properties, it's higher than other properties. And we're trying to give you a picture of the expectation of return on this. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Kupfer, any questions?
I just want to clarify, Mr. Neufeld, the classification and liability were also appealed on this property.
Yeah.
Was there any concern there?
No, that's we have a new admin person, and she's extremely good and over diligent and checked off too many boxes.
Okay. That was my only question, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
Just in regards to, it's kind of hard, it's the NOI that the workup application that the city put out, and that was at 300 or whatever thousand, and he's at an NOI of 284, and you're way down to 171 using the $10 rent per square foot.
Correct. That's the major difference. And I'm just looking at it. There's we applied a different vacancy rate, and that came from the Johnson report, and that would have been an industrial blended rate for the entire city. This property is closest to industrial. No, there's no vacancy rates for this specific property type. The recoverable, non-recoverable structural reserve, if you look real hard, you'll notice there's an error in them. It's only 2% that's been applied. They should have been higher. And not going to change it because that's unfair at this point. We're in the middle of a hearing.
I lost you in all of that. Sorry.
Oh well, if you'll notice, I noticed this mistake our people made yesterday, and on the non-recoverables.
I'm losing you again. Sorry.
Okay. Would you like by sound? Okay, let me just try.
So it's okay. Just go to the shortfall now, because you got 926 and the city has $6. Why do you use 926?
Oh, actuals. The tax burden on this right now would be approximately. The taxes alone are $5.76 a square foot, and utilities would be in around $2 a square foot, and R&M about $2 a square foot. So that comes about.
Okay.
These are my own calculations.
Yeah, I got that. I see how you get it now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's you can't put it. Just reflects what the actual numbers are.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, I'm just looking at the comparables, rent comparables. I'm assuming from which you derived your $10
That's my other
rent.
one. Yes.
The $10 rent, and I'm looking at your comparables on page 6. All of those comparables are considerably older than the subject property. Is that fair to say?
I think predominantly they are older. The driving force in the rent is going to be approved usage for a body shop, and it has been for years. It's always harder to get a body shop location than any other type because it's always been deemed a noxious use. So they tend to have a fair bit more stability, and in terms of you're actually paying the rent on the approved usage by the city of Winnipeg. That's one of the strongest features of it. I was appraising years ago this old body shop way down in the north end in the middle.
I'm not sure that's relevant.
No, well,
just asking about
the the factors that go into the rent on a body shop. The most important one is approved usage.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking as well at the terms of the rents on your page 6, and working at least from the top, number 8, that lease is expired 4 years before the reference date. Number 11, that lease expired 2 years before the reference date. Number 12, that expired 3 years before the reference date. Nairn, 4 years before the reference date. Do you have current rents or current as of the reference dates for those properties?
For those properties, no, these came from historical documents, and we actually do have more current rents, and I did not prepare this. The person who did didn't bother doing their research. Our office just finished appraising 6 body shops with current rents, and at this late date we're not going to be able to enter them into evidence. I read them. I'm comfortable with the range. It's usually been a number somewhere between $8.50 and $11 for the body shops, and the subject. Fair to say that $10 is, I think, personally, I think it's a bit on the low side. I probably would have think they've been closer to about $11.50 or so, I'm kind of handcuffed by this because I don't prepare these briefs, but I present them, and yet I appraise these properties too. I have a limitation in my standards as to what I can and can't do. I can comment on this and tell you I think the rent's too low here that was put in by our office.
Okay. That's fair enough. I
just have one further question. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So on your listing number 1275 Satacona, that's a 2015 rent, and on the cities, you had said that there's a difference between you and the city. The cities is a 2020 rent.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that that's very well known. Thank you.
I was, theirs is 2020, 5 years at 1250.
Yeah. And yours is 2015 at 970 for 5 years.
No, and that's a fair comment.
Okay.
I think that well, there's obviously a lot of mistakes in this.
Yes.
And I'd like to give you a fair analysis of this. And honestly, I'm thinking that, and just verbally, that the rent should be higher. And if you did a direct, these numbers are all linear. So I think the rent should be $2 higher or 20% higher, and that would just take our number to $2,737,000. That's my own opinion right now looking at this.
So that's the number you're asking us for now, 2,737,000?
Yeah, if that's okay with you, just verbally, I just changed upward by 20%, which is a $2 bump in the rent. Everything else, as I said, mathematically linear. And why I'm doing this is because I'm looking at that 2,737 divided by 1,8933 gets you $145 a square foot, and that's kind of the where most of the body shops are selling for right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kupfer, any summary?
None for me. No, thank you.
Mr. Neufeld, we have your new value. Any summary?
No, my apologies for this. We're handicapped by standards to this degree. I think it's a fair one that I've tried to adjust it to, and apologize for I saw the same thing the board did, okay, as I went through this. So I agree with you, and I think we have to change it. Thank you very much. 2,737, which works out to $145 a square foot, which would be the way it would have sold. Thank you.
Thank you. Then, having heard the evidence, we can conclude this matter. Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. I believe that completes your matters on the docket today.
Yes.
Then we will move on.
Okay.
The decision will be forwarded to you shortly.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. And if we can now turn, please, to number 5 on the docket, we are going to have to affirm the next applicant. That's Mr. Charlebois Page, I believe. Mrs. Harlan, if you could admit the new applicant.
Yes. I will confirm him now. Mr. Charlebois Page, would you please state your full name?
Stephen Charlebois Page.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kupfer, good morning, Mr. Charlebois Page. We're turning to number 5 on the list now. That's the street address of 673 Wall Street. Mr. Kupfer, could you please begin your evidence on this matter?
Yes, sir. That's file number 25-412. The roll number is 130-117-39500, and the street address is 673 Wall Street. The owner is a Manitoba Manitoba numbered company, I should say. Again, this is a commercial vehicle service related property we're dealing with, built in 1992. The land area is 18,492 square feet, and we have a leasable area on file of 5,500 square feet, and a 2026 assessed value of $1,211,000. I'm going to recommend be confirmed today. You can see on page 2, sales history. Our last sale was in 2013, so it's been it was about 10 years prior to the reference date. Underneath that, I've included photographs of the subject property. With this location here, we are north of Portage and just south of St. Matthews on the corner of Woolever Avenue. This is direct, you can see on page 3 there, big letters, direct automotive. So like I said, it's vehicle service garage, vehicle service related. They also have auto parts listed on the side there. Turning to page 4, you'll see a familiar list of comparables here. Again, all vehicle service related, all spread out throughout the city here. I wouldn't say I have one here that best applies, so I would just turn you to the same average, weighted average and median that we've been presenting throughout the day today. Turning to page 5, you'll see the workup for the subject property here. As I stated, we have 5,500 square feet of leasable area on file with a rental rate of just over $15.50 a foot. All of this is generated by the model here: 2% vacancy, 3% expenses, and a $6 shortfall, and a capitalization rate in the mid-6s here at 6.65%, is how we're deriving our value of $1.211 million. Moving to page 6 of my brief, you'll see the income value summary. Again, only one stream on this property, so it's all pretty straightforward. Beyond that, page 7 and 8 are the capitalization rate tables and Municipal Assessment Act excerpts that we include with all of our income briefs. And then page 9 and 10, we have the income and expense mailer. This property is indicated to us to be fully owner occupied, which means we don't have an arm's length rent to go off of, and instead would be referring to our comparables table on page 4. Well, that's all the information I have about the property. So again, I'm going to recommend that 2026 assessment be confirmed at $1,211,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kupfer. Mr. Charlebois Page, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep this quick. I know the rental analysis was already picked through, so I'll just ask you, Mr. Kupfer, you just confirm that some of those are in retail anchored assets and other various anchored assets, the comparables.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. And I know some of the people before me have noted that this comes from the neighborhood shopping center category on your, I guess, page 7 capitalization rate. No specific study for VSG, not a ton of sales. I noted that in my review. Just again, it's sort of that range of 6 to 7.5 from the brokers. These type of properties, would you consider them to be in the high end of the range in terms of quality of retail?
Are you speaking about the subject property? Would I consider to be in the high end?
Yeah, vehicle service garages and the subject property, and but this type of asset.
This type of asset I would put right around the middle. It's not particularly old, not particularly new, built in the 90s. Not particularly high-end finish. It looks like it's steel-clad exterior, steel building. The location, I would suggest, suits their needs, which is why they've built there and they've been operating there, I believe, for some time. But it's not in some sort of premium center either.
Sure. Do you acknowledge that the east end of this property shares a residential laneway with the neighbors that abut the site?
Yes, that's correct.
Are you aware that the west neighbor across the street is on the non-registered contamination list?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. So Mr. Charlebois Page, if you can present your evidence, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll start off by just noting that I did not have sufficient evidence on file in terms of the ground floor area. So mine came from an aerial measurement. There's a discrepancy between myself and the city. They have 7,600 and change, I think, square footage of gross area and 5,500 of leasable. I don't think that dispute will become too relevant. My end income is at 83 or 82,000 and change, and they're at 85. So there's not a big delta between those two. But I'll proceed through anyhow. So I'll take you down to my comparables. This property is zoned M1, so it has industrial zoning on it. It's in an industrial pocket there. A lot of the surrounding use is industrial, with obviously exception of the residential neighborhood that abuts it on the east side. So I took a look at 2 different sets of comps just to sort of bracket this. So Winnipeg 2 market region for assessment, I looked at that area in terms of what are some of these industrial tenancies and did analysis there. It came out to about $10. My VSG comps is the second chart. And now I didn't have the most robust study, and I acknowledge that some of those are quite large. That one did come out an average of 10-12 a square foot. So I'm going to rely on the $10 per square foot here because if the city has a delta between gross plan area versus leasable area, I'm assuming that some of the spaces in the interior are substandard and not fit to be valued for a market value. My vacancy, shortfall, and non-recoverable are in line with the exception of, I believe the city applied $6 a square foot on shortfall. I'm at $6.50. And you'll see on capitalization rate, this is our biggest change between, or where we in the city sort of differ. They're at 665. Our study is between 7 and 7.5 for standard retail. I have this at 725. There's specific considerations that I always look for. I mean, abutting a residential site and sharing a laneway with those folks with their garages literally face the subject property. The site on the west side I already mentioned, non-designated contamination. This is in an industrial pocket, so some consideration should be made, I guess, for that sort of, those factors. And my value there is 1,064,000, and I apologize for the difference in area. Again, I could not confirm that difference. I'm assuming the city has inspected the site and has noted that difference, but the income there, 82,260, not far from the 85, I believe, that the city has applied. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kupfer, questions?
Just a couple quick ones. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at your page 6, Mr. Charlebois page, the property land improvement description. Was this written for a different report?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just seeing that the top 2 paragraphs are incorrect, and the bottom one is yes. I've erred in that. It is M1 zoning, but I apologize for I've included the wrong description for the site. I apologize.
Okay, no problem. So as you noted, the main difference here is our capitalization rate, as the operating incomes we've come to are fairly close, and you've put this a bit at the higher end then at 725, and we're at 665, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, yeah, those are my only questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Knight, questions?
I had the same question about that page, so I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
I did too. Bear with me for 1 minute. I think we're okay. No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
I had identified this as a cap rate issue, other than the square footage, which I think has been adequately explained, and so I don't have anything further. Mr. Kupfer, do you have any summary?
No need. Thank you.
Mr. Charlebois Page, any summary?
I'll just briefly add, I think this property should be for the considerations that are site specific, the location of it. Retail assets are typically higher quality finish in prime locations. This is neither. It's tucked in an industrial park. I'd ask the board to apply that 725. Thank you.
Thank you. Then, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter on the list. That is the street address at 337 Ferry Road. And I see as well that there is a request the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation pursuant to Section 53 of the Municipal Assessment Act. So, Mr. Kupfer, what I will ask you to do is please introduce the property and then move down to the evidence with respect to the non-cooperation.
Thank you, sir. So this is file number 25-454. The roll number is 0702051710, and the street address is 337 Ferry Road. So the owner is Suncor Energy Incorporated, and I believe this is the owner for all the remaining properties we have on our docket here. And we're asking the same non-cooperation penalty be applied for all of them. And I've included the same evidence for all of them. So that's just for the sake of your discussion. So beginning on my page 7, I did include the cover letter this time. So it does list Suncor Energy as well as the mailing address located in Calgary. This would have been from the first letter, as it's dated in April. As you can see, the second letter is mailed out in June. On page 9, it shows the progress from being mailed on June 9th to being delivered on the 15th with a signature. You can see that same delivery date there, June 15th, with the matching item number description. So we are asking that the non-cooperation penalty be applied for this property based on the evidence presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page, have you any questions with respect to the application for finding non-cooperation?
No questions, Mr. Chair, but I'm going to be seeking confirmation. And this the owner has been compliant in years prior up to this year, the one that the assessors noted. And we are in the process of, or they are in the process of conducting an internal review into what happened there. And without the results of that, I have to seek confirmation, and I'll be doing that for the properties following this as well.
Okay, that includes all of the properties up to number 12. Then on the property, there's 5 or 6.
Sorry, there's a piece of land that I believe might be outside of that.
That's number 13, and that's the piece of land on the roll next to 1050 Keewaydon.
And obviously, we'd be seeking that reduced from the main holding value. So if that main holding value is being confirmed, then we'd also obviously be seeking the confirmation on that land. So, yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to ask, I want to discuss something with my fellow panel members. So if we can go in camera, please, on this, and we'll have a short discussion, Mrs. Harland, and so Mr. Kupfer and Mr. Charlebois-Page, if you can just put up with a quick recess.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, for the record, should we be allowed to ask questions of either member?
Yes, absolutely.
Before we do that?
Yes. Sorry, that was my my error. And Mr. Kupfer is...
I put them in the waiting room. Would you like me to bring them back, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I got ahead of myself.
All right.
Sorry,
back,
Mr.
gentlemen.
Kupfer.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Kupfer, Mr. Charlebois-Page, I got ahead of myself. There are questions that the panel may have before we begin discussing the matter amongst ourselves. So, Mr. Whitbread, have you any questions?
Just the question around this being the first year you have not received the returns from the owner, Suncor? That's a question. Is it?
Sorry, and they are a new client to us, and it was my understanding they were compliant with 2021. I did not have knowledge prior, but I believe 2021 was compliant, Nathan, and you could correct me if I was wrong.
I don't see Nathan. Is he? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't check for years past, Mr. Whitbread, but if Mr. Charlebois-Page is saying that they submitted a 2021, I have no reason to believe that that's untrue. So,
okay,
I would accept that as correct.
This appears to be an anomaly, and that's why you've indicated there's an audit going on in their workplace.
Correct, and that's our understanding, and that's what's launched that review. And we've already had a docket of properties come up where we've followed such protocol, and that review internally has not been concluded, so I have nothing further to provide at this time.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Knight?
No questions.
Okay, and I don't have anything. Then I'm going to try again. If we can go in camera, please, and have the assessor and applicant in the waiting room, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to call the meeting back to order, please. I can advise both the applicant and the assessor that the panel has considered the evidence, and we will be making we are making a finding that the burden of proof will be placed on the applicant, that the finding of the board is that pursuant to section 53 sub 3 of the Municipal Assessment Act, that the applicant has either failed or refused to comply with the request of information. That having been said, with the onus shifting to the applicant's agent, Mr. Charlebois-Page, I would ask that you proceed with your evidence, Mr. Charlebois-Page. We've already heard what your intentions are, but if you could state them for the record, please, and then we will continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm seeking confirmation of this matter.
And just to be clear, the confirmation is with respect to the assessed amount, the valuation of $807,000.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kupfer, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Knight, any questions?
No, sir. No.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none.
And I have no questions. I'm assuming that there's no need for a summary on this matter. And so, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter on the list.
May I interrupt, please?
Yes.
Now, I only have one difficulty here in that we haven't heard anything from the assessor. And when I go through his docket or his documentation, I see no information that would allow us to support the $807,000 assessment. I don't have any, unless I've missed something, guys.
He shows that at the bottom of page 5.
Yes, the net area square feet and the net rate per square foot.
So just land value alone.
Right.
Thank you. That helps me.
Thank you. Did you have any other questions, Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Then we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter, which will be the street address of 1701 Ellis. This is as well a, sorry, I might have a moment. Yes, there is an issue of non-cooperation here as well under section 53 sub 3. We've prefaced some of it with the comments that have taken place already, but I would ask Mr. Kupfer for you please to introduce the property and provide the first, introduce the property, give us an overview, and then skip down to your evidence with respect to the non-cooperation.
Yes, sir. This is file number 25-452. The roll number is 0700-189-0000. Street address is 1701 Ellis Avenue, and the owner is Suncor Energy Incorporated. We have a 2026 assessed value on file of $2,654,000 that I'm asking be confirmed. And then beginning on my page 11 through page 13, I've included the same information, including the cover letter and the Canada Post tracking information with regards to the non-compliance request. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Charlebois Page, with respect to the issue of non-cooperation, do you have any questions for Mr. Kupfer?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none. Thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No, sir.
And then I don't have any questions either. What we are going to do for all of these properties, and I appreciate Mr. Charlebois Page, your comments with respect to all of these properties, but we're going to deal with them all individually for the record purposes. And so we're going to have to go back into camera, at which point we will call you back and with our decision. Thank you. Mrs. Harlan, can we go back in camera, please?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. The panel has considered the evidence with respect to non-cooperation, and we are making a finding that the applicant has failed or refused under section 53 sub 3 sub B to comply with the request for information and documentation under section 16, and therefore the burden of proof is going to be on the applicant for this matter. Mr. Charlebois Page, you had indicated that you were going to be seeking confirmation. Is that the case with respect?
Correct, Mr. Chair. I'm seeking confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. And just again, to be clear, that confirmation is with respect to the assessed value of $2,654,000.
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Kupfer, just for completeness sake, and you have given the value, I appreciate that. But if you could just quickly summarize your calculations at page 7 and 8, because there are multiple income streams here, that would be appreciated.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. So beginning on my page 7, you'll see a rental rate as well as the leasable area for the kiosk. So it's quite a small area, which tends to drive a fairly high rental rate in these situations. As you can see by what our model is generated here at 192 per foot. Underneath that, there is additional land value and additional building value, you'll note. So the additional land value is because of the parcel. And if you're looking at my page 3, you can see it quite clearly to the north of the gas station. It's all just grass here. That's what's being factored in as additional land value, and that's being done on a rate per foot basis. And then the additional building value, you'll see it's quite common for our gas stations. It's how we value them when they're on income. We add the cost value of the pumps, tanks, canopy, that sort of thing. So those are the two additional values being added into the income stream, totaling that $2,654,000.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page, do you have any questions on that issue?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No, sir.
And I don't have any questions. And so, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to number 8. That will be number 8 is the street address of 583 McPhillips. Again, there is a non-cooperation issue with respect to this. And
sorry, I'm sorry. Did the applicant say he agreed to the $2,654,000 on this 1701 Ellis?
Yes, he did.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear that part. Okay.
Yeah, I requested confirmation. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't hear that. I didn't write it down. Something I don't know which, but
okay. Number 8, 583 McPhillips. Mr. Kupfer, if you could please introduce that property.
So this is file number 25-368. The roll number is 14002967500. Street address 583 McPhillips Street. We have a 2026 assessed value $1,273,000 that I'm asking to be confirmed. And so long as the assessment, the agent is seeking confirmation of our assessment, I have no issue just withdrawing the request for non-cooperation, and we can move through this a bit more expediently.
Okay, Mr. Charlebois Page.
I'm seeking confirmation, so that expedites the process.
Okay, then we'll make a note that the application under Section 53 has been withdrawn by the City Assessment and Taxation Branch, and the assessed value or the valuation is $1,273,000. With respect to that, again, I note, Mr. Kupfer, there are several income streams here. If you can just outline those for completeness sake.
Yes, sir. So there's 2 income streams on this property. One of them is for the car wash component. That's the one shown on my page 6. And then the other, the vehicle service garage, is shown on my page 7. So those are the 2 income streams for this property, and they're shown combined on my page 8.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page, have you any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
no, sir.
And I have no questions. I'm assuming, given the position of the parties, that no summary is required, and therefore we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter on the docket, and that is number 9, the street address of 2599 Portage Avenue. Again, I see that there is an application. Are you going to be proceeding with that application for non-cooperation, Mr. Kupfer?
We have no reason to pursue the application if the agent is requesting confirmation, so we'll withdraw it.
Okay. Thank you. Then would you please introduce the property and provide a summary of your evidence supporting the valuation?
Yes, sir. This is file number 25-378. The roll number is 070735333000. Street address is 2599 Portage Avenue, and the owner is Suncor Energy Inc. We have a 2026 assessed value of $2,088,000 that I'm going to ask be confirmed today. This is a gas station property. If you go down to my page 6, as you noted, there's the income stream for the store kiosk area, as well as additional building value, which would be the cost value of the pumps and tanks being added onto that, which combined for $2,088,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois Page, have you any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair.
And as you said earlier, you are seeking confirmation of this.
I am seeking confirmation, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And for the record, the confirmation is $2,088,000.
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, have you any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No, sir.
And I have no questions, and I will operate on the assumption that no summary is required. We will, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to number 10 on the list. Number 10 on the docket is street address of 981 St. Mary's Road. If you can please introduce this property. And once again, I see that there is an application for non-cooperation. I'm assuming, and given what the conversation was earlier, that confirmation will be sought. And in that regard, Mr. Kupfer, will you be proceeding with the application under Section 53 of the Municipal Assessment Act?
We'll withdraw that, sir.
Thank you. If you could then please give us an outline of or introduce the property and give us an outline of the assessed value and how that was arrived at.
Yes, sir. This is file number 25-388. The roll number is 0800370450. The street address is 981 St. Mary's Road, and the owner is Opal Oils Limited. We have a 2026 assessed value of $1,169,000 that I'm going to recommend be confirmed today. So this is an older vehicle service garage property, and we're actually modeling it at land value. So you can see on my page 5, the net area of the land is a little over 21,000 square feet, and we're applying a net rate of $53.89 to derive that $1,169,000 value. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois-Page.
No questions, but I am seeking confirmation, and yeah, that concludes.
Thank you. Ms. Knight, any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thanks.
And I have none. And so, having heard the evidence, we will, and the request for confirmation at $1,169,000, we will conclude this matter and move on to number 11 on the docket, which is the street address of 208 St. Anne's Road. And as I understand it, once again, there is an application for finding of non-cooperation, given how the other matters have been dealt with. And Mr. Charlebois-Page indicated a desire to seek confirmation. Will you be proceeding with the application for non-cooperation, Mr. Kupfer?
We'll withdraw that. Thank you.
Thank you. Then could you please introduce the property and give us a summary of how the evaluation is arrived?
So this is file number 25-385. The roll number is 080018488500. The street address is 208 St. Anne's Road, and the owner is Suncor Energy. We have a 2026 assessed value on file here of $1,264,000 that I'm going to recommend be confirmed today. And looking briefly at my page 6 here, it's a vehicle service garage, and there's only the one stream on this one. It's all being done on income, so this one's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charlebois-Page? Any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair. I'm requesting confirmation at $1,264,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread, questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No, sir.
And I have no questions. And having heard all of the evidence with respect to this matter and the request for confirmation, we will conclude that and move on to number 12 on the docket. That is a street address of 1050 Keewatin. And once again, there is an application for non-cooperation, given Mr. Charlebois-Page's previous indication to seek confirmation. Will you be proceeding with the application, Mr. Kupfer?
I will not, no.
Thank you. Then would you please provide us with your introduction to the property and the evidence surrounding the $1,936,000 valuation?
Yes, sir. This is file number 25-456. The roll number is 14096811600, and the street address is 1050 Keewatin Street. The owner is Suncor Energy. This is a larger gas station. So looking just at the workup on page 6 here, it does have that additional building value. Again, that's for the tanks and pumps, all done on cost. When you combine that building value with the income stream, you get the $1,936,000. However, so this is the approach to this property is the next property on the docket, the little one that was added. That's the one that's going to be handled by Mr. Pohl. So it has a value of 33,000, an assessed value of 33,000, and we're actually going to be reducing that from the total of this property here today, and then confirming the value of the approach on his appeal, is my understanding. So we'll actually be asking for 1,903,000, I believe.
So your verbal recommendation is for a reduction in the assessed value to $1,903,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Charlebois-Page.
I do have a question about that, Nathan,
Certainly.
and maybe you're not the guy to ask, but so we noted that it's off of the city assessment website. Like I had trouble looking up that land parcel. I know it's not on the record for right now. Are you guys considering merging them for the next cycle, or do you know if anything's been done on that? Or I know you're just recommending that the value be removed from this rule. Do you know if anything's in the motion in terms of that, just for a record?
Just having spoken to Mr. Pohl about it, I believe a merger is what's being put forward. I don't believe it's been completed yet.
Okay, so there's nothing actionable for this tax year. That'd be for years forward, or you're not comfortable answering that at this time?
I'm not sure at this time.
Okay, great. Well, then sorry, I agree that with the proposed value, 33,000 less, and otherwise, yeah, no other issues. So,
thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Any questions?
Just one in that, and I maybe don't understand the inner workings. It shows the owner as the city of Winnipeg. Is
That's
that
on the next property.
sorry? Let me ask that question when I get to it.
I was
I'm
about
so
to say,
I'm
same
so
address.
far ahead of you folks. Oh my. Okay. I back off. No questions.
Ms. Knight?
Oh boy.
No, sir.
And I don't have any questions. Mr. Charlebois-Page, other than your confirmation for the or approval, acceptance, I guess, of the reduced amount of $1,903,000. Have you anything further?
No, thank you.
Then we will conclude the, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to the final matter, which is number 13 on the docket, which is vacant commercial property with an identified role with a owner that's also listed as the city of Winnipeg.
And that should be Mr. Pohl jumping on any minute now. So I'm going to sign off here and leave that last one for you.
Thank you. And
Okay,
thank you for your presentations today.
Thank you,
you all.
Nathan.
Did he let Mr. Pohl know?
I did, yes.
Oh, you did. Okay, good. Thank you.
And he will have to be affirmed as well, Mrs. Harlan, when he comes into the meeting.
Yes. Mr. Chair, can we take a 5-minute break, please?
Certainly.
So that Mr. Pohl can join us and yes.
Okay, if we can come back then at 11:51. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. And Mrs. Harlan, would you please swear in Mr. Pohl?
Yes, I will, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, affirm.
Mr. Pohl, would you please state your full name?
Jeremy Ryan Pohl.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll turn to the last matter on the docket. That is at number 13. There's no street address, but I understand it is related to the previous property, or at least adjacent to the previous property, with the street address of 1050 Keewatin. Mr. Pohl, would you please introduce this property and provide your evidence on this?
25, file number is 25492. The roll number is 1409. Bear with me here. There. 1409681670. The assessed value is for 33,000. There's no civic address for this property, but it is on Inkster, kitty corner to Keewatin. If you look at my next page, it is the approach to 1050 Keewatin. I recommended once this was assigned to me that it be heard at the same time that 1055 Keewatin was being heard. So it's one economic unit, and the principal property is 1050 Keewatin. So it really should be heard with that appeal. For $33,000, if you've looked, I haven't attached any comparables. That works out to be 1960 a square foot. Realistically, I can't bring in comps that low. It's a pretty low value, and as it sits, it is an approach. It is just an approach. So the reason why I wanted it heard is because I wanted Mr. Navarro and Mr. Cooper's arguments to be heard for the principal property, and however they decided to treat this property, whether to include it, or I should say, whether to confirm it for this appeal, my appeal, and whether to take the value off of 1050 Keewatin or not too. It's up to them. So that's why I requested this to be heard at the same time with the panel. With that, that's pretty much all of my evidence. And I'm open to questions.
Mr. Charlebois-Page.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Ms. Knight.
No questions.
Mr. Whitbread.
I have none, thank you.
And the only question I have, given what you have just said, Mr. Pohl, with respect to hearing this to 1050 Keewatin and your comments about this being a single economic unit, are you aware of the reduction in value of 1050 Keewatin, or the assessed value, by the same amount that this vacant approach is being valued, the $33,000?
That would have been the argument. My understanding was from reviewing the agent's brief that that's what the position was for Mr. Navarro, and whether or not the assessor accepted that or not, it's up to Nathan and Mr. Cooper. So if that's what they decided, I'd be okay with it. But really, it's up to the principal property that's being valued and how you're going to see it. So.
Fine, thank you. That was my only, I guess, confirmation or clarification. Mr. Charlebois-Page.
Could I ask, sorry, I'm just going to ask one more question. I asked Nathan. So Nathan did just reduce this off of the main holding, Jeremy, just so you know.
Okay.
I have a question for you just in terms of the future of this. And I asked Nathan, I'm not sure you'll be able to answer it. Are you looking to merge these two roles on a go forward? Is that the idea?
I really can't say that. Like, to me, my understanding, and just so we know, or I'll be clear to the panel, I grew up with the 2200 block of boroughs. I know this property. I've been in it. I've been around it for basically my whole life at the corner of Inkster and Keewatin. That parcel, as you see, as it sits, was an approach always there. And the development around Keewatin and Inkster, the walkway, path, running path, however you want to say it, wasn't always there. So I'm not sure if we could merge it or not. I'm not sure if we should merge it or not. But it is kind of unique that my 20 some odd years of doing this, I've never seen an approach have a value to, but it is under lease. Once the orders come out from the board of revision, once we discuss it internally, I'm not sure if we would continue forward with a value here. We might put a $1 on it. It's kind of an oddball.
Okay.
So, and at that point, there would be no need to merge.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Those are my questions.
I just have a question or a comment. I'm not sure, Mr. Chair,
Sure.
what it is.
Certainly.
But when you look at where the property ends on the selected property, right before that, it looks like a bike lane maybe, or some sort of
it's a pathway around. It's a walking path.
Right.
For people to use. Goes quite a ways, all the way down Keewatin, all the way down Inkster. They redeveloped this after the approach was in place.
Is it fair to say, Mr. Pohl, that most of that piece of property, that $33,000 one in the purple, is actually on the city land?
Yeah, no, city owns that. It's
Yeah.
city. It's being leased by the
Okay.
Metro Canada to provide an access, but that access and that lease was far back before that redevelopment happened. So I don't think it'd be likely to merge it. It would most likely stay city-owned property, or it would stay a city property.
Yeah, so that answered my question I had earlier, way back when I was jumping ahead. That's why it shows the city of Winnipeg as the owner.
Yeah. I don't think would be, not up to me, but I don't think the city would be giving that up any time, and I think it would just stay standard how it is. But whether we continue to put a value on it, we'll wait for the board's decision and we'll review it internally.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing else.
Okay, Ms. Knight.
No questions.
And I have no questions. Is any summary required, Mr. Pohl,
No.
Mr. Shaw-Page?
No, I'll just put in my, as my brief says, I'm gonna request confirmation, given it was reduced from the main holding. So for the record, I'm okay with the value at 33 then.
Okay. Thank you very much. Having heard the evidence, we will conclude that matter, and I believe we've now dealt with all matters on the docket today. This hearing is adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Charlebois-Page. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Pohl, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day now.
Bye now.
And if you can take us offline, please, Crystal.
Yes, I will, and I'll be right back. Thank you.